Welcome back to the Lanterne Rouge Cycling Podcast. For the first proper mountain stage of the Critérium du Dauphiné Stage 6, we've got a packed weekend of high mountain racing as we go into the Savoy region near the Alps. And this is from Holter, I don't know how to say that, Holterive to Le Col d'Allevard, which has about... it's not a Unipuerto, it's not a warm-up climb before the Col du Granier, but actually has a sneaky amount of elevation gain, about 3,200 meters of elevation gain in this 74 kilometer stage, and the final climb's hard. It really is a difficult, unrelenting climb. 11.2 Ks, 8.4%. First K is sort of a warm-up for Tarling, and the rest is about 9% the whole way, 10%. Brutal climb, not to high altitude, but yeah, it really would shake things up on GC and show where everybody is after the TT. What was the news from yesterday, Benji, yesterday evening, in terms of abandonments, DNSs?
So when it comes to the names we already knew from yesterday, Kruijswijk and Van Baarle were left with ambulance during the race, but a few other riders had the same thing. I think Axel Mariol from Cofidis as well, Milan Menten from Lotto. We had a few other names, but in total, a lot got added overnight and this morning. Alex Kirsch from Middle Trek. We've got Andreas Kroon as well from Lotto, so that's two riders there. We had Kobo Goossens from Intermarché, Juan Ayuso of UAE. Yeah, I think Daniel Friebe posted on Twitter that he tried to give it a try by riding towards the start, but then said, I'm probably not going to start or something, and he ended up DNSing, so no start for him. Kamil Gradek and Yasha Soeterlin of Bahrain, Harry Sweeney and Lucas Nerurkar, who's been really good in this Dauphiné, so I was curious to see what is his climbing on the mountain stage is going to be like. He was also DNSing before the stage started. Adne Holter DNF'd yesterday, the one who crashed from the breakaway. Christian Ott Eiking was another one from UNOX that also didn't start today. Laurens Heus for Arkea also didn't start today. And Remy Rocha of Groupama. And when the list is that long, when there's 10% of your peloton leaving before today's stage, then you know yesterday's crash was awful. There's a few riders with injuries. We already know that Steven Kruijswijk and Dylan van Baarle won't be heading to the Tour de France. And I was wondering, are you going to replace them or...
Nah, I mean, joint cycling plan's going really well, but I'm not ready yet. I got to drop a few kegs maybe to get there. But yeah, a lot of riders dropping like flies, unfortunately, and even the riders who started today. A lot of the GC guys that started today, I mean, spoilers, but Geoghegan Hart, they're the walking wounded. They're no longer here for really GC. They're just trying to make it through. And then I wouldn't be surprised now that guys have tested out how they feel to see some more abandonments this evening as well.
But about Tao Geoghegan Hart, so he started today, he parquetchoed on the climb, spoilers, but about that, is he actually injured? Because I heard some things about ribs.
Yeah, he gave an interview this morning to Friebe, and he crashed into an electricity pole and hit his bicep and ribs. He doesn't know if they're fractured. He said they're not displaced, but if you got sore ribs, you don't want to do a 30-minute watts per kilo test where you're breathing 185 BPM and breathing constantly. So that's, a lot of guys probably in that position as well. I think 6 of the 7 UAE riders crashed. Soler was the only one who didn't crash. Soler, either he's the luckiest rider in the world or he's the GOAT. I love Marc Soler, so... Because in the Basque Country crash, he bunny hopped the embankment that Remco and Jonas crashed into and stuck the landing in a forest at 80. And then yesterday he somehow didn't crash, and apparently Pollitt was the first to go down. The whole UAE train crashed and he didn't crash.
I think ever since Movistar made him finish a stage with 2 broken hands, I haven't seen him be part of brutal crashes anymore, which is a positive, but those are very, very weird memories of the Movistar days when it comes to Soler. But good that he's not crashing, but like you said, most of the team did, and let's hope most of them are relatively okay, because then Sivakov, with Ayuso out, does he become the new leader?
Yeah, I'd say so. Gets to go for his own result or do the best possible with no pressure. Same with Soler, I would say. I mean, what else is there to do but make the best of it? That's what a lot of teams would be thinking. So, yeah, UAE, I think they went with that today. In other news, some personal news as well as an announcement from Team Visma Lisa Bike this morning concerning me. That on one, there's a press release, a full press release that's linked in the description and show notes if you want to read it. If you haven't seen it on Twitter, Instagram, whatever this morning when I shared it. But from 1st of October, if you didn't know, Moraine Zeeman is leaving the team, the head sporting director, after the end of the season. And so from 1 October, there will be a new sports management team of which I am a part. So there's Grisha Nierman, who you might know from the Netflix series or being in the head DS in the Tour de France. Jakob Verhaeren, who is an internationally renowned swimming coach, is also joining the team then. Matthew Hagebo, who's the current director of performance. Robert de Groot, who is the head of the development team, and myself. So largely what I'll be doing is much of the same race analysis strategy, but also working in the recruitment for both the men and also the women's team for me will now also be an additional focus. And people ask, what does that mean for the podcast or the YouTube videos? Nothing really, because it's the same system as before.
To me, it looked like we were in the Moneyball movie and we've got that scene of saying, how are you still trying to replace Moraine Zeeman? You got to replace Moraine Zeeman in the aggregate.
Yeah.
And you showed up with 5 people. You've got Jacco, who is good when it comes to swimming, so riders will be better in the rain. That's my conclusion out of that. He probably does more important shit than that.
You need to do something about the crashes.
Anyway, congratulations. I'm happy to hear that for you. I'm proud of you.
Yeah, so basically I work 2 full-time jobs now, so that's my own fault, but I'm really looking forward to it. But me, the pod and the highlight videos and me and Benji and everything continues on as before, which I'm also grateful to the team for, because I'm not sure that other teams would be so happy with them sitting side by side, but Visma really they're fine with it, which is also what I needed, because I have to. The pod is LRCP. We've spent so much energy and time and dedication and passion building it together since it's the 5th season that it's so important. So that still remains the big focus.
We're getting old, man. We're getting old.
Yeah, I know. I'm on the wrong side of 30 now. Breakaway goes in this race though. Stage 6 Dauphiné. Breakaway goes Court, Gregoire, Gernelec, Ian Livens, Fanchelou, and Mason Holliman. 2 best climbers in there are Magnus Cort. Actually, you may say Magnus Cort, but he actually really climbs well from a break. He won on the Megève stage, I think, ahead of Schultz. Gregoire, though, probably still a bit better than him, given his Tirreno, I think, top 10 on GC. He really can climb. The others there to help. And who was chasing Benji? Quickstep were not really chasing. They were pacing, not chasing.
I think that's a fair assumption of the tempo. We saw the gap grow towards 5 minutes 50 at a certain point, but we're not at the Col du Granier now. And I feel like before the Col du Granier or on the climb of the Col du Granier, we're talking about 55 kilometers to go. When the climb really starts hitting, I feel like little treks started to help them a little, because that's when I think Casper Pedersen and Mes Pedersen were both climbing next to each other or trading relays at the front of the peloton. The tempo on Granier wasn't gigantic, but you have a few people that drop under that tempo, and it's the riders you'd expect to drop at that moment, so nothing too worrisome there. But the gap towards the breakaway does go down at this point. But we spoke on the podcast yesterday, and there was a friendly chap in our chat that said, Granier descent, looking terrifying, and something did happen in that descent. We had a crash in the breakaway. Thibaut Gernaek and also Mason Holliman crashed, and to me, yes, it looked like a relatively dangerous descent compared to the normal straight ones, but to me, this is what was a steering issue.
Yeah, it's a dry road surface. There wasn't like some gravel drop off or terrible problem in that. That wasn't even a sharp corner. So yeah, it was just they were pushing too much. They nearly crashed the 2 corners before. I don't know if it was Fanchelou, the Q365 guy. He was missing corners, and then that had a ricochet effect behind. He missed a fair few corners and laying off, but the brake did not descend well. Usually, what you see actually is in this situation, I was like, the brake has a good chance, because they've taken it down to 3 minutes or 4 minutes. I can't remember at the top of Granier, but then normally the brake will take a 45 seconds a minute back. Yeah. Because they'll take the risk, but Pedersen whacked it in the peloton.
Exactly, but I'm also thinking, before we get to the peloton aspect of it, in the breakaway I often see groups, and maybe it's sometimes in pelotons as well, where I feel like the wrong rider is at the front for the descent. And I think, for example, if I look back in my memory, there was it a Tour de France stage where Michael where Magnus Cort came back in the descent after a strong climbing performance and ended up winning the stage against someone else. Could have been Michael Valgren as well, but hey, they were both at Astana, so don't blame me if I got one of them wrong. Yeah, and they both went through the front stages. But so that's a memory of Cort. I would think that Cort is a more experienced descender than Fancello, the way they were descending today, where I would expect Cort to take the front and maybe try and gain a bit of time compared to the peloton in that descent. But like you said, Mess Pedersen came to the front, came around to Quick-Step rider that was leading in the descent, and kind of started pushing it to the point that there were splits in the peloton. And there were two sides to the argument when it comes to social media. Some people were like, oh, why is Mess Pedersen pushing in this descent? I don't have an issue with people taking advantage of descents that are part of the race. Cycling is a race, yes, it increases the risk of the sport, but as a fanatic Vincenzo Nibali fan, I can't stand here and say, oh, the rider shouldn't take benefits from descents. Nibali attacked on 75 descents in his career, and it's the most beautiful part of his career, in my opinion. So, but what's your take?
Maybe a little bit. Like, I agree, he doesn't need to walk down there. He doesn't need to just make it super safe for everybody. Yeah. But I think actually maybe, I think he did push it a little bit too hard. Because in the end, he had to wait. They had to wait for the peloton or splits to come back because it caused splits. But it also did say one clear thing: they're going for Ciccone.
Yeah.
Because Geoghegan Hart, no way you do that with him normally, and then after his crash, no way. So they're clearly going for Ciccone for stage. Ciccone can descend. He's good. You see, remember Low Port last year? Low Port 30-minute watts per kilo test after easy stage Catalunya last year. Beat Roglic on that uphill finish and Remco. So he is good on these sort of stages, and they're all in for him. And I think that was the right thing to do. What was curious to me, though, we get to the valley. The breakaway takes a wrong turn. They go straight where there's a left-hand turn. They're supposed to take a left-hand turn. The lead car just went straight, and the breakaway goes the wrong way. So if the breakaway was doomed in the first place, they were extra doomed by losing a minute. It's a shame for them, but in the end, I don't think it changes the stage result. Just a shame for Gregoire, probably, or Cort. And then Peloton, there's splits, comes back. I noticed Pollitt was descending really slowly and gingerly at the back. He crashed yesterday hard. Remco was leaving a gap, and Landa was with Pedersen, and Remco was closing his own gap, and Roglic was ahead of that gap, so Remco's chasing. Stress. Get to the valley, Pedersen's pacing, Gibbons is pacing, but Quick-Step Benji start pacing all out. Why?
Do
you think it was just because Trek, like Pedersen said in Danish to the other Pedersen, help me?
I don't know if that was it, to be honest. Pedersen was Casper Pedersen was off the back after the climb itself, over the top. But like in the valley when Mess Pedersen started pushing, and I don't know what the choice there was, but it's like it feels the same for both ends, eh? If we're after the point where the splits have come back together because of the whole race situation, I'm looking at no one really being able to benefit from this. So you then think, okay, what is this doing? If I'm pacing hard on the valley towards a climb, does that make the race harder for some one of our competitors? Does that put more energy expenditure into them? But then again, it's a very low energy expenditure stage on paper, you would say, even though the altitude meters were higher than you would expect on a stage like this. I still feel like we won't see 5,000 kilojoules at the end of at the start of today's climb. You know, it's not like Livigno stage. So I don't know if it really did much, the pacing before it. But to bring us to the situation we have right now, breakaway, Holloman never came back after that crash. Guernalec came back, but we're now heading towards the actual Col d'Allevard, and the break is 2 minutes ahead of the peloton, and Gregoire and Cort straight up dub the rest. Gregoire goes, Cort closes, the rest not there anymore, and that's when we look to the peloton, and it's Ineos space. And I'm thinking, Carlos Rodriguez this morning said in his interview, yes, I crashed, but I feel relatively okay, no major bruises, which, that's good. Next to that, the plus is close in GC, but I gotta be honest with that. I was looking at the race situation, I was thinking, oh, they're just setting up a train for Carlos Rodriguez, because we're not used to the out-of-the-box strategies when it comes to Ineos. And what did they end up doing?
Yeah, they paced Tarling. They went one by one Skytrain. I was like, it's going to be Skytrain all the way, and then Plusky's just going to launch Rodriguez. The problem with Rodriguez is he's not the Skytrain last man because he doesn't have the sprint like a Roglic. It's like Visma with Roglic. They could just go 1, 2, 3, 4, bring him to 500. Roglic stomp and win, you know? Rodriguez can't do that. He doesn't have the burst of... He has a below average burst. Like Ciccone will cook him in a 500 meter sort of uphill kick. And so I'm thinking, are they going to launch him? And they do. Oh, but before that, Benji, under the pacing of Ineos, we saw Kuss drop almost immediately, and he didn't crash yesterday. He did not crash yesterday like 80% of the peloton.
Yeah, and before this, Benoit had already dropped with just after the sprinters, and Lemon drops a bit later than Kuss, and well, we see like Jorgensen alone, and that's not the situation you want here, obviously. Sepkus, you'd like to have with you as long as possible on the climb. I was of the opinion that he should start the stage with it on a steep roll, considering he's 17 decades behind NGC before the stage. But it didn't even come to that. It's not like Jorgensen could use him in any way because he dropped before anyone else.
He's dropped before Armorel, man. He's dropping from a group of 50.
Gegenhardt, Parquet at that point, but he has an excuse in that. I don't think Kuss crashed yesterday.
No, he didn't.
So it's not like he has that on his side. So his time trial also wasn't great. Am I worried about his shape? The thing with Sepkus is...
This is Kussing, no? This is 1 week Kuss.
Yeah. Like at UAE Tour, that happened all the time. So
motherfucker probably win on Sunday.
Yeah.
You know, he's literally done that in Dauphiné before. Like I think he won 2020 Sunday stage on Dauphiné. So, but no, a bit tongue in cheek. Dropping from a group of 50, 60 is probably more than just, I don't know. So we'll have to figure out what's happened there. But it does leave Jorgensen isolated. In the end, he's in a nice spot though, where no one's looking at Matteo Jorgensen.
Yeah.
No one's looking at Derek G. It's Ineos, Bora, and Quickstep. They all looking at each other, and then Ciccone also is in a nice spot. No one's looking at Giulio Ciccone as well.
Yeah, and reality is also the situation of Ciccone and Jorgensen because of that is that you've got two teams that might play it differently. We'll get to that right now, which is Ineos, for example. In the meanwhile, by the way, in the breakaway, Gregoire has dropped cord, but Gregoire is bleeding from his nose like crazy and is eventually going to get caught by whoever attacks in the peloton. And that attacker is not Carlos Rodriguez. It's the Plus. The Plus attacks after Kwiato's lead out. I see a response by Mikel Landa, who then cancels his response and starts pacing the group behind.
That was
curious.
That
creates an opportunity for Vlasov to launch a counter towards the Plus. And then we've got two leaders, the Plus and Vlasov from this point onwards. And that brings me to that situation that I spoke about a second ago. The fact that Bora and Ineos are trying this stuff. Jorgensen just needs to try and survive. Ciccone just needs to try and survive and try and follow the other leaders that are trying to cancel that out. Because at this point, Landa's doing the work for them.
Yeah, I think this is where, exactly. Jorgensen, as long as one of the three Bora, Quickstep, I've forgotten another team. Ineos? Bora, Quickstep. As long as one of Bora, Quickstep, Ineos are not represented, he can sit on. Yeah. As long as those domestiques are there. Say it was Landa and De Plus, then Hindley will pace instead of Landa pacing behind.
Yeah.
Now this is Bora today. Like they really, really got it right because they are in such a good strategic position when Vlasov goes with De Plus. Firstly, Vlasov is ahead of GC on ahead of De Plus on GC by 6 seconds. Okay, not much, but still it matters a little bit.
And
secondly, and most importantly, he's way stronger than De Plus.
Yes.
You know he will drop him. So and De Plus is working 75% as well. So he's sitting on for a fair bit. Okay, he has to snap bridge, and when he snap bridges as well, is when there's a flat peloton. It's not like he's attacking off Landa doing a nuclear pace at that moment. So he just goes straight across to De Plus, sits on, gets towed away. Roglic sits in the wheels. It's just perfect for Bora.
Yeah, it's perfect for Bora to the point that I'm curious what's going to end up happening in Group 2 because Landa keeps pacing. And I'm thinking, who else is in this group? Who else could make a move here? Because right now it's just Landa keeping the gap for Remco, and the gap went out to 7 seconds, to 10 seconds, to 15 seconds, stayed around 15, 13 seconds for quite a bit. And I feel like that is when we see some riders dropping, Butrago, but eventually Ciccone makes a move. So Ciccone chooses to make that move with Primoz in the wheel, Jorgensen following, and Carlos Rodriguez following. And I'm thinking, where's Remco? I swear he was near the front of this group. Where's Landa? I swear he was pacing this group before Ciccone made his attack. And I'm looking down the group, not 5th, not 6th. Derek G? Like, where did he come from?
Derek G. What the hell? He is pacing, and he is, because, like, did you see a little bit from Roglic, Benji? Like, a little bit of impatience, I think. Like, it was a good situation for Bora, but he was also very obviously keen to get across to Vlasov.
Yeah,
as quickly as possible.
I think that was the case. I think Roglic looked like he was feeling good and wanted to do something with it. And also, let's be honest about it, he left the team because of that situation last year. So I kind of see Roglic internally like, oh god. Let's make sure that I can jump this gap. But first of all, we got to turn it back a second. Remco dropping with Landa pacing him when Ciccone makes that move. Is that, in your opinion, crash related? Is that his current level?
No, it's just level. Remco did a good performance today.
Oh,
he did.
I'd say
look at his preparation.
I
think Remco did a good performance today. He had broken shoulder blade, and I think he did a really good performance, and actually very encouraging for the Tour de France, because I don't know, maybe he's got a bit of weight to lose for the Tour. Maybe he's missing 10, 15 watts, but he's not 5 kilos off. Yep. He's not 30 watts off. He's close. It looks far, but he's still close. Like,
but
if he's losing 3 minutes, then you're really, really far away.
But he's also not dropping when the likes of a Jorgensen drops or something. He's dropping when Loscano is still in the group ahead of him, and G's far further ahead, which that's kind of an overperformance by G today.
Yeah,
but
yeah.
I would have hoped to see for the Tour de France, Remco maybe be in a group ahead of that when dropping.
He finishes 20 seconds behind Carlos Rodriguez.
He
went straight away. Yeah, but that's how he paid. He went straight into I'm not the best. Yeah. And so he went straight into TT pace mode.
I think that's fair, but I also can't say it's like super promising either. It's like I still need to see.
He ain't there yet. That's for sure.
So I just need more confirmation towards the Tour de France to say, okay, he's really that podium candidate. Because when it comes to the brutal mountain stage in the coming days, that's where I will be curious what difference that's going to make. Because now he drops close to the finish, relatively. If he drops on a second last or a climb that is further from the finish, that's when it becomes more difficult.
Exactly. If you just can't follow the acceleration. But what I need to watch it back. Yeah. Vlasov de Plus, Roglic bursting twice. And then he's with Ciccone, Jorgensen, Rodriguez. Was there a moment where Rodriguez, like, I feel like de Plus, did he pull with Vlasov too long when Rodriguez didn't have it? Because it actually became clear that actually Rodriguez didn't have it, and this was very quickly becoming Bora's perfect situation.
Yeah. I don't know if there was like a tipping point for that where Ineos could have changed anything about the situation, because you build a situation where the Plus is at the front and where Carlos Rodriguez has to try and benefit behind, and at that point, you've got two leaders and you see where you land. Because I don't know. It's
true. Maybe I'm thinking of it the wrong way. Maybe it's actually they're playing de Plus as a leader fully, not bait.
Potentially.
I mean, his
where
TT
was he in
good.
GC before the stage?
I think he was up there. His TT was very, very good.
I think he could be seen as co-leader.
He was on 148, 7 seconds behind C-Rod. So, anyway.
it's hard to really declare. Regardless of whether Ineos' tactics worked or not today, I find it very nice to see that they're trying something
They had a
different.
crack. Same with Bora. And in the end, it was Derek G pacing, and finally, maybe the third Roglic attack works. Roglic goes, Ciccone looks snappy on his wheel. He can follow, Jorgensen cannot, and Roglic gets across to actually maybe Vlasov and De Plus. Jorgensen goes to the wheel of De Plus, and then De Plus loses the wheel of Ciccone. Jorgensen also cannot respond or take over the wheel, whilst Vlasov is absolutely driving it for Roglic, with Remco behind, with Rodriguez behind, now with Jorgensen behind. Ciccone, I think he finished in the Godou Koos sort of car park in the TT, more or less, so they don't care about Ciccone being there from a GC perspective. And just perfect from Bora. Perfect from Vlasov. I mean, Vlasov was so strong, he could have easily won this stage. Vlasov easily could have won this stage. But he helps Roglic wholeheartedly, and basically then we're getting to the question, will Roglic, we still don't know the full answer yet, Benji, because we're like, okay, Roglic has attacked a few times, followed, but Ciccone is still there, and how good will he be? And then we get the answer, 500 meters to go, Vlasov pulls off, and we see like the vintage Roglic stomp, where he just gets into the drops, lifts it, and Ciccone, not even an attack, Ciccone just cannot respond, and Roglic, with the way we've seen him win many, many times before, he wins his first road stage for Bora Hansgrohe in the green points jersey.
Roglic.
And Roglic, he's always so good in the green jersey, in the points jersey. He's always good there. And they got to be very, very happy with that. He has to be very, very happy with that. Wins the stage by 3 seconds ahead of Ciccone, 11 seconds on Vlasov. That goes to show you how good Vlasov, I think, did the same watts as Roglic on this climb, maybe more. Roglic goes into the GC lead by 19 seconds ahead of Remco, 58 ahead of Jorgensen. So he also takes the yellow jersey. G comes back on the De Plus Jorgensen group. So De Plus basically paced behind Bora for a long time, but eventually they lost another 10 seconds. G finishes 4th on this stage. Best climb performance of his career by far on 13 seconds. Jorgensen 5th on 17. De Plus and Rodriguez on 22. De Plus actually stronger than C-Rod in the end. Remco bursts in the last K to take back a lot of time. He finishes 42 seconds. Haig 50. Hindley Landa 53 with Scottson. Callum, that is. And Javier Romo in 13th. Lascano in 15th. This has got to be the biggest collection of riders over 70 kilos in a top 15 of a 9% 30-minute climb on a World Tour race for a long, long time. We're looking at G, Jorgensen, De Plus, Haig maybe. Yeah, Haig, I would say. Romo and Lascano. A third of them.
Yeah. Scottson, no?
He's not that big, I don't think. He's a climber.
His PCS is 77 kilos, but I doubt that.
He's not 70. If he was 77 kilos doing this performance, he'd win World Champs TT every year. He can't be 77.
That being said, looking at this performance, firstly, conclusion number 1. Finally, Roglic is showing what we saw in the past outside of time trials this year. And that's exactly what we needed to see before the Tour de France, to see him as that competitor. He's definitely a podium competitor. I'd like to see him be a GC victory competitor in that race as well, as close to the others as possible, on the same level. I don't care. I want a competition at that race, and seeing this from Primoz is great before the Tour de France. And in addition to that, not just Primoz, but the fact that Vlasov was willing to fold into a domestique role, that they tried something like it's not really a reverse lead out, which then turns into a lead out on the climb, but that's how I'm going to call it. It's like a satellite rider you launch on the same climb is how it ended up working. But I love the strategy. I love how they played it out. In addition to that, they had Hindley, who kind of rode in the background today, and that's okay because he wasn't necessarily needed to fix situations or to be part of that, but that adds another layer to it, to the point that they have him as well in mountain stages in the coming month, for example. That being said, regardless of Roglic doing this today, I still am of the opinion that, considering Roglic's crash rates, you need to consider having one other person as a backup leader close in GC as long as possible into the race to have some security. But Roglic is definitely the go-to leader for this team, obviously, before the Tour de France. But outside of that, Ciccone, the fact that he came back from injury, delivers second place here, looks really good. Yes, he's in that Jorgensen situation. Still a wonderful performance. Derek G, I'm stuck with Derek G because I'm like a few days ago, he's going to go for Tour de France stage. He's climbing very well. He's won a stage here now, blah, blah, blah. But I'm also on the page of Froome and Wood. Sorry, but none of you should be claiming even 1% of a leadership position at the Tour de France because Derek G would be a better GC rider than those two at the Tour. And with his time trial capabilities, he could combine fighting for a top 10 position through third week breakaways
He can top
at the
10
Tour
the
de
Tour.
France.
He can top 10.
I think so too.
Because there's a gravel stage, there's those rolly TTs like you say. I mean, maybe it's his punch that's the problem, like on the Italian Depart. I don't know. It's Derek G becoming a GC. I will say, this is not the same as the other stage we got this weekend.
Okay.
As in
Yeah,
that number of big guys like Romo, like Lascano, like De Plus, Jorgensen, G being so close, and then seeing also Ciccone basically with Roglic the whole time.
Mm-hmm.
So means that this was basically a walk up to the bottom and then whack it for 30 minutes. And yeah, I don't know. I feel like actually, sorry, it wasn't. It was Valter that Ciccone beat Roglic in, not Laporte. Laporte got dropped, but I would. I was the one that just called G for top 10 in the Tour, but I wouldn't draw every conclusion for the Tour from this one stage. I would say this is where Roglic needs to be. This is where Roglic has been in the past, and he did. They executed, and this is his stage, and he was really, really good, and he won, and that's where he needs to be. But we have another 2 stages coming up. I would say, but on G as well, if he hadn't gone, he took a wrong turn in the TT. Darryl Impey put it up on, I think, his Instagram. He'll be on the podium in GC now. He's 3 seconds behind Jorgensen.
Yeah.
So,
but about that,
yeah.
Have we gone through the top 10 of the stage yet?
I did the top 10 on the stage. I'll do top 10 on GC. So Roglic, again, Roglic 19 seconds ahead of Evenepoel. So Evenepoel, as I said, he didn't completely collapse. He's still in second on 19 seconds. Jorgensen moves closer to Evenepoel, but further away from Roglic. He's on 58 seconds. And now, can I count? I can't. 40 seconds or so, 39 seconds behind Evenepoel. G is on 101. Vlasov moves up 7 spots to 5th on 132. Carlos Rodriguez is in 6th. He moves up 4 spots to 140. De Plus moves up to 7th on 153. Lascano actually moves down 3 spots, but he's still 8th on 208. Callum Scottson, 215. Haig into the top 10, 231. Ciccone moves up 17 spots to 246. So Ciccone's TT cost him, because if he was a minute faster, he's right there in 6th or 7th. But it's
important, eh?
It is important. The TT is important, but also for Ciccone, I think, top 5 in a race like this against this competition is a serious result. So he'll still be fighting for it. But Evenepoel, let me preview tomorrow's stage. How about that?
Okay.
Tomorrow's stage, this is the hardest stage of the race, I would say. It is 156 kilometers long from Albertville to Samoens, 1600. We start with the Col de Cézy, but we start basically with 30 kilometers of climbing out the gate. So good luck in the break formation there. It won't be televised. Then a descent, little drag up to Megève, then down to Solange, and then they do the Côte d'Arrache, 6.2k, 7%. Plateau, another short descent. Then they do the Col de la Ramaz, 14k, 7%. This is the undulating climb that was before the Juplin on stage 14 of the Tour last year. It's actually a bit of a fake news climb. The actual climbing is steeper than that average suggests, so that's difficult. Then a descent, short valley of 10k's or so. Then a 10k, 9% climb. Again, very, very steep. So these climbs are actually more difficult, these finishing climbs, than most of the Tour finishing climbs in terms of gradient. Like this climb has 3k's in the first third. That's 11%. So very, very, very difficult. And I think, Benji, a very different stage to today. obviously. It's a proper multi-mountain, high mountain stage.
Yeah, for sure. There's going to be much more energy spent on tomorrow's stage, and the breakaway formation will be harder. That will take energy out of the riders. The chase after that breakaway, if a team is willing to do that, will be quite hard. It's not the longest stage, but the amount of climbing in that will put pressure on teams, and that's why I'm thinking, okay, what will happen in this stage? And the last climb is really hard. That's one thing we need to get out of the way. The last climb is so hard that a lot of riders might be scared to try something early as well, in my opinion. And then we look at GC and I'm thinking, okay, Roglic is in the lead. He had a teammate or two that are in the top 20 of GC. Let's say he wasn't in the lead. Bora might try something with Vlasov or with Hindley very early on. But they won't do that because Roglic is in the lead. So Bora will ride defensively, in my opinion. I look at other teams. Quickstep. In hindsight, should Quickstep have ridden differently with the supposed insider take that they had that Remco wasn't riding for GC, then did the time trial, was great there. Then today he was a bit, he wasn't on the level of the others, is how I'll say it. Should Landa have gotten a bit more freedom going into chain mode today, which I personally think not, because your goal is to try and podium the Tour de France. And Landa, on paper, is not the rider to do that. And in this Dauphiné, you're trying to prep your team to go for that podium goal at the Tour de France. So you got to try the shit that you're going to try the Tour de France in this preparation race. That's my personal take.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think Quickstep did anything. Pedersen helping Pedersen, it makes no difference in the end. The break was
helping Pedersen. Which one are you talking about?
Exactly. The break was getting caught. It was on the flat. It makes no difference. I don't think. But I think what Powell's finished today. He did a good TT, but he felt that he crashed yesterday. He finished on 155. I think the break should win tomorrow. Because as you say, Bora, they got the lead 20 seconds. Balls in Quickstep's court if they want to win this race. And I think after today, you would think Quickstep would be thinking, let's try to finish on the podium, right? I don't see why after today Quickstep would come out tomorrow morning and say, we're going to, light this stage on fire.
Yeah.
So for the breakaway, I'm looking French break. David Gaudu, 5:15. You got to be in it. Gregoire, again, he had a nosebleed on the climb. Hope he's okay, but he's a strong climber. He's got to be in it. Guillaume Martin. Buitrago. He lost time. Guillaume Martin, Clément Berthet, Barguil, Fulsang. Maybe he should be helping G, to be honest. Koos, if he's got it, if he can recover. Who else? Maybe even Mankey's. I mean, Mankey's jumped in Dauphiné breaks, I remember, in the past too. This is almost like the end of a Grand Tour where there's a lot of half-decent climbers here.
Yeah.
On about 3 minutes plus with nothing to lose, and we open with 30 Ks of climbing tomorrow. Yeah, Koos. I mean, he's on like 14, I think. So he really can go in the break with Formula sort of guy.
Depends on his form.
Yeah.
But Ineos, for example, I'm also not thinking that they will try anything early necessarily either. I'm looking at the Rodriguez and the Plus that are in GC on 6th and 7th. They'll try and just play the game and see where they land at the end of tomorrow's stage, my opinion.
I reckon they got to go for it.
Like breakaway-wise and so forth?
No.
Oh.
Go like what they did in Romandy.
As in make the climbs harder and see whether that benefits them?
Yeah. Roglic should always beat Rodriguez on this finish, right? He should always put 20 seconds just with his burst.
Because, like, your theory would also include, well, Remco dropped today on an easier stage. Maybe you got
to drop G. There's not just Roglic, there's other guys.
Remco and G are the guys that you can pass most likely if you hard pace tomorrow's stage based on today's performance. Lascano and Scotsney are probably going to keep behind. They performed very well today, but I'm not expecting them to beat Carlos Rodriguez and Laurens de Plus necessarily, or one of them at least, tomorrow evening. So I see definitely the possibility for Rodriguez and de Plus to both get into the top 5. And then your question is, can you beat Jorgensen? Can you beat Vlasov? Vlasov will depend on how much he falls into that domestique role for Roglic, which today he did.
But you just got to beat Remco, right?
Yeah.
If you see weakness there. So
Yeah,
I don't
wouldn't
see
have
what.
an issue.
Why
with
would you
that-
go for
with
it
that.
today if you had to pick the two stages and someone asks you which one suits you more? By the way, who won the stage that had Ramaz in last year?
Jesus Christ, dude.
Carlos Rodriguez won.
Rodriguez.
He won.
Yeah.
On the Duplan. Okay, he was dropped by Jonas and
Oh, you
And
meant in the
Poggi.
Tour, yeah.
yeah, in the Tour.
I was thinking, why was Ramaz in the Dauphiné last year?
Maybe it was. I don't see why you go for it today and then say, oh, well, Roglic outkicked him, pack it up. I don't know. So to me, it's Ineos because Bora, they got the lead and they got Vlasov ahead of Rodriguez. So they're chilling.
But
Remco just got kicked in the teeth. He's going to defend.
I'm mostly intrigued by breakaway formation phase of
The
how will Bora
untelevised break.
Hansgrohe control that breakaway formation? As in, can someone like Mark Soler or Sivakov slip into the breakaway?
I think Landa's got to be jumping. If you're doing a dress rehearsal for the Tour, you want to test Bora.
Yeah, I low-key agree.
Bob Jungels, Nico Denz. You're really going to be on Mark Sivakov and Mark Soler jumping. don't
Mark
think
Sivakov?
Mark Soler and Mark Sivakov. Mark Sivakov, yeah. So I think it's an opportunity to put some pressure on those riders, maybe 4, 5, 6, 7 in that Bora team. You can't put pressure on Vlasov and Roglic there. Vlasov is flying. But
reality is we're probably overthinking it compared to other teams, and the teams
I
will
don't
probably
know.
go a bit more traditional than that.
it's a weekend.
again, the Dauphiné-
we see Dauphiné weekend stages
Yeah.
when they are hard. It does kick off.
And the stage starts early, so the riders might not be fully awake yet, so might be
Yeah.
more willing to go crazy.
Tomorrow might be the later one.
I think it started at 9:30 in the morning. I
No,
think
that's
I
the
read.
Sunday
No?
one. No.
In the UK?
Well, you're in a fucked up time zone.
Well, not my fault. Well, it is my fault. 10:30
Yeah, literally
European
is.
time. It starts tomorrow.
Tomorrow, Mrs. Rouge, who's producing today because Luke was doing an important exam, says that it finishes at 2:30 tomorrow. So Benji's correct. It finishes before Benji it starts before Benji even wakes up.
Fair.
I thought on Sunday maybe it finishes a different time. I don't know why that is. Who you got? Who you got for tomorrow?
Who do I have for tomorrow? I want to see a French guy win. For the memes.
Yeah, me too.
Clément Berthet.
Oh, I was gonna pick him.
I knew it.
I'm gonna pick a French guy. Pavel Sivakov.
That's a cheat code.
Exactly. Do you think where is he on GC? 3:14, maybe.
Oh, true.
Ah,
That was good.
Do you reckon? Yeah. I'm not sure he'll jump. I'm not sure. I'm not convinced he'll jump in the break. I'm gonna go with the. Oh, it needs to be a pure climber. I'm gonna go with Gregoire. I'm gonna go with Gregoire back to back in the break. So I'll go with Gregoire. You've gone with Berthet. Go do. I want 10 French riders in that breakaway tomorrow, minimum. And GC Benji, what changes?
Based on today, you would say, oh, Remco loses more time.
I'm not
I
sure.
would expect G to drop out of the top 5 on paper on a stage like that, but I'm very welcome to a surprise tomorrow. I'd expect Lascano to drop out of the top 10 tomorrow, but I'd welcome that surprise as well. I think Landa jumps into the top 10 because I don't think they'll focus fully on Remco anymore.
I think
Hindley top 10?
I think Hindley is going to be better tomorrow. Yeah, I think Hindley might be good tomorrow. I got a feeling, and I
He
also
wasn't
got.
bad today, eh?
I think Landa moves up into the top 8 tomorrow. I think Landa will be good tomorrow. I think so. What they do with Landa, I'm not sure, but I think even helping Remco, he'll be so strong that he will move up a lot of GC positions. And what happens with Jorgensen G and the Ineos boys and Lascano, we'll find out. Find out. I can't wait for this weekend of racing. And also, Roglic has got to defend Benji. Now everyone, all eyes are on Bora. So But they got the best climbing team here by far at the moment. So it should be a good weekend. I can't wait to watch. Anything else?
Well, I would like to shamelessly plug my Pro Cycling Manager video that I uploaded yesterday. I started a new career mode on Pro Cycling Manager with the German continental team Rembe Pro Cycling, and we're going to try and make this a World Tour team and win the Tour de France in about 7 in-game years. So that's the goal. If you want to check that out, it's on the Benji Naesen YouTube channel. So that's my shameless plug.
Go and check that out. Make sure you go check out Benji Naesen YouTube channel. Just whipping around some of the other race results. Volta Catalunya Femenina began today. It's a 2.1. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They do La Molina tomorrow, which is the main climbing stage. Actually, good start list. Visma's there, FDJ's there with Muzic, Vos, Marcus, Maggie Cole's Lister, good sprinter, Mulman, Gigante. It's a World Tour level start list. With some good climbers. Today's stage was a sprint around Manresa, Healy sprint. And Ali Wollaston beat Mariana Vos, and so she is, after having a long layoff of about 4 months after the Australian season, she came back at Ride London Classic with some half-decent results, and then bang, wins a stage suited to her. I saw her actually, I think, training a lot here on the big climbs, and she wins ahead of Vos, so that's pretty good. I would say on that sort of finish. In the Tour of Britain Women, which is Women's World Tour race, first stage was won by Kopecky ahead of Paternoster in a photo finish that Paternoster thought she won, and they had a gap of 350 ahead of the group with Wiebes in it, which I would actually say is a bit too risky for SD Works, because what if Kopecky has a mech or something. But anyway, she didn't. And then she broke away today and won with Anna Henderson, and Wiebes finished 20 seconds behind. There's a little hill on the course, Horseshoe Pass, when they finished in Wrexham. Tomorrow's stage is around Warrington, where my grandfather was born, and it's a flat sprint that Wiebes should win, and then there's also another flat sprint on stage 4. So looks like SD Works should win probably all 4 stages, and Kopecky will win GC, I dare say.
Did you speak about GP Cantons Argo already? Because that is a hilly course in Switzerland, basically consecutive hills. And in that race, we had a reduced group sprint ending up at the finish line with the likes of Rota, Higuita, Fabio Christen, Del Toro, Voldager, the Danish dude on Jaco, Roger Adria, Bettiol, and the winner was Maxim van Gils, who was the fastest in that group after winning Eschborn Frankfurt already. So he's really getting better at these like reduced sprints, and that man's list of results this year, he won that shitty ITT in Andalusia, then 5th at Fond Ardèche, 3rd at Fond Drôme Classic, 3rd at Strade, 7th at MSR. Let's ignore the 3 results at Catalunya where he didn't really perform and then DNF'd on stage 3. But then it restarts, 2nd at Indurain, 20th at Amstel Gold Race. That's his weakest result outside of Catalunya. 3rd at Flesch, 4th at LBL, 3rd at Van Ardennes Classic, 1st at Eschborn Frankfurt, 1st at Cantons Argo. This man has grown out to be one of the, if not the best rider on Lotto Destiny this year when it comes to point scoring at least. And arguably when it comes to results, he had the Lias back when it comes to getting results after he fought off the ticks in the Flemish fields. But Van Eertveld's been on point, has been injured, was hit by a car the other week, if I recall correctly.
Yeah, he was.
But is he still one of the top point scorers, you think?
Van Gils.
Yeah.
He's broken 2,000 points. He's broken 2,000 points today before the Tour. And he could, right? Is he doing the Tour?
Yes.
Okay, but if he goes and does, if he skipped the Tour and he did a load of bullshit, like if he just farmed Luxembourg, he'd win that GC. But if Renewy, but Lotto don't even need the points anymore. Yeah. So they should send. He's their best rider, I think. He's better than DeLee this year.
They're in the luxury position that they can send these riders and go fully for the
real
Tour de
results.
France. Yeah, exactly. And that's also why we saw them in the classics really going for victories instead of trying to get positions around it. Because
they don't need to worry about it. They got the wild card for next year, the 1 year wild card to all the invites. It's done.
And 3 year looks great too.
The 3 year is also, knock on wood for them, is done. So they should. He's not here for points. He's here at this race to win. And he won. And I think they should be commended. And he should be commended. He's been extended.
Yep.
So, like Because this, you know who this man looks like to me, Benji? Looks like a Mark Hirschi replacement
Yeah.
at UAE. And so they should be glad they've extended him already. He is a very, very good rider, 24 years old, Maxim van Hills. And as we said, a nasty kick on him.
I would like to see what his TT is like, because we saw that small TT in Andalusia, but I want some confirmation on that during the season, because who knows, he could win something like Bologna or an easy Romandy 1 week race, you know?
Yeah.
Because longer climbing, I'm not sure yet, but he's like the puncher type that can win an easy 1 week stage race, if that makes sense. Algarve, the Magnus Court stage, I reckon he could be in that group.
Should be, in theory.
And he can sprint from that.
Yeah. His sprint is good, his uphill kick. I mean, I'm excited to see what he can do in the tour. I mean, could this man be the Victor Lefay of this year's tour on the Grand Départ?
As a Belgian, I'd fucking hope so.
On Côte de Pique, he's suddenly there.
Yeah.
And then there's a flat finish, and he can win a sprint or something. Like don't be surprised. Okay, but yeah, Narvaez to UAE was the rumor. I think that's all the results. Apart ZLM Tour, the breakaway won. So 36-year-old Peter Schulting on the who's been he's a Conti journeyman. He won the biggest race of his career in his home race. So that's cool. It's always cool to see ahead of Casper van Uden and De Heers. And this weekend there's Dwaalsdoor Het Hageland tomorrow, which is I quite like it as a classics race. Mozzardo, Groves, Varensgold, Tilla's won it before. Abrahamsen, Sheehan. So all the sort of classic sprinty boys, the second tier ones are all doing that. So that's always a good watch. And also the women's race. And then on Sunday, Tour de Suisse starts. So lots happening. And yeah, I can't wait for this weekend of the Dauphiné. Benji, I'm going to go to the women's Catalunya start in La Seu d'Urgell tomorrow.
Nice.
Because that's down the road, literally. And yeah, see that start, which is always nice. I like going to Catalunya. So I
also like the rider that got fifth in the Catalunya stage, Menage on is it Cofidis? I'm pretty sure. Yes, Lise Menage.
19.
She's 19. Not bad, eh?
What did she win? French U23 road race.
Yeah.
Last month. I don't know. The women's stuff is tough because there are so many races. Like, no disrespect to them, but like Jayco went to that Andalusia race, right? And they just cleaned it. Yeah. They like 1, 2, 3 every stage just about. And I'm like, well, what does that mean, you know? Yeah. But then this is Vos, Wollaston, Sierra Guazzini.
Exactly.
So you know, I don't care. There's a 2-1. There's serious riders here. So
I do need confirmation, of course. It's like next to the French U23 race. This is like the first proper result this year.
Yeah,
so
she's also 19.
But it's a good sign.
So it's like Julie Bergot. Like, if Julie Bergot was doing that in a men's 1-1, she would be so hyped. Everyone would be like, "What the hell? Like, what? She's with Music." She'd be, you know,
the Saint Michel rider.
Yeah, Bunel, who won. So maybe Music was on an off day, but it's there because there's no real. There's some U23 women's teams. There's UAE have a dev team. Jayco now have one. Liverlula, sorry, but it's not as like many U23 teams or dedicated races. So there's a lot of the top juniors just go straight to even more so than the men's into the women's world tour. Like we saw with Little Trek and Visma Spike last few years. That's all from us. I hope you enjoyed the podcast. Thanks for all your kind comments to me earlier today, and we'll see you with a recap of the mountain stage on to San Juan tomorrow. Till then, ciao.
Bye.